Guys, most businesses don't struggle to grow because they lack ambition. They struggle because growth creates operational chaos faster than they can manage it. And somewhere in the middle of scaling, culture, communication, and customer experience often start to break down. So, look, welcome back to the Podcast Profits Unleashed podcast, where we explore how coaches and consultants, entrepreneurs can grow their business through smarter systems, stronger positioning, and sustainable strategies that actually scale. Now, I'm your host, Karen Roberts, and today I'm joined by Penny Camille Lat, with over 15 years of experience spanning cold calling, customer support, operations, and full scale team management. Penn brings a rare depth of understanding to every stage of the outsourcing journey. Now, she's known for helping businesses build systems and teams that scale efficiently without losing the heart of the work or the human connection behind the brand. So, this episode is all about scaling sustainably, building operational clarity, and creating support systems that allow businesses to grow without burning out the people behind them. So if you've ever felt like your business is growing faster than your systems can handle, or you're struggling to delegate without sacrificing quality, this conversation is going to give you a completely different perspective on what smart scaling actually looks like. So let's dive in. Welcome to the show, Penny.
Hi, Karen. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
So, Penny, even for you, was there a moment where you realized that most businesses don't actually have a growth problem, or they might not? They actually might have a systems and operations problem.
Actually, when it came to this, I would actually go through my experience working for a SaaS startup. So I was a freelancer before I was hired by a SaaS startup. And I guess the story of how I'm now doing this for other companies really started in the middle of things when I was hired by that SaaS startup. So let me explain that. I remember I was in this call with the COO of the company. And in that call was we were presenting what the support structure would look like. And mind you, I'm not even a customer support manager for this SaaS startup. I was their executive assistant. And in this call, I had my other support team members who were planned this with me. And we were presenting it to the CEO. It wasn't like a conversation of, hey, let's maybe have some templates so that we can answer faster. It was more of a conversation of if you would use chat, email, and phone for our support, for the support system, how would that look like? It was a vision of how the team would look like rather than it was a strategic conversation rather than a tactical one where you were just looking at the KPIs. And the reason I was really nervous during that call was that the COO didn't really ask for this call. We actually did it ourselves. We proactively planned, thought about the structure, thought about the workflows and processes, and presented it to the COO. And my COO back then was sometimes I would describe him as a shark. I'm hoping he watches this because I think he knows that I call him like that because he's really sharp. He's really sharp. He's really detail oriented. And so I knew that if I presented something to him, it had to be really detail oriented. I would have to really think about all of the things because as a COO, he's really trained to see gaps, right? And I wanted this to happen for the startup that we were working for. So we prepared a lot and I was really nervous. But then during that conversation where he was like pretty impressed with us that we were presenting this to him, it was in that moment where I thought, okay, I kind of enjoyed doing this for them. And not just only that, but the entire experience with that SaaS startup, I really enjoyed because the owners, the founders of the SaaS startup, they treated us like as if we were there with them in the office. We weren't like they weren't just handing off tasks to us. They weren't saying, "Hey, do XYZ." They weren't doing that. They were really, "What do you think about this? What did you hear from the customers?" They were really involving us. And that was the way the interaction and the way that we now work with our clients as well. We wanted that kind of culture interaction, client experience, employee experience, where everyone was working together rather than feeling very distant with
Mm,
clients. Yeah. And I think I was more encouraged by through in that meeting because the founders of that SaaS startup, they were always like that. They never were how other people would think about outsourcing or people that they're hiring in other countries where it's very distant and you feel it in the
mm.
in your everyday interaction. They were not like that. And I really enjoyed having that experience with them. And luckily, they recommended us to a different startup. And now we're able to actually also do that experience in our company, in our agency, and do this for other startups as well.
So you're going in and helping on that side of things because look, when a business starts scaling and things can, because as you grow, everybody thinks they want to grow, right? And then they grow,
Yes,
and there's always growing pains,
yes, yes,
and things can begin to feel chaotic. So, for
yeah.
you, what's the first operational system that you look at? What's your process?
So the process, it really depends on who we're talking to during the discovery call. So we do start with the discovery call with our clients, and it really depends on if they actually have an idea of what they want to outsource or delegate versus if they don't. Because there are going to be discovery calls where they know they need help, but they can't pinpoint what kind of help they need. They know that they have things that they want to do but can't do because they're trying to be everywhere in the business. You know what people say about being a CEO means? It means chief everything officer, right? So it really depends on where they're at in the business or how they're feeling about their business. So during the discovery call, we don't really ask them like, "How are you feeling about your business?" We don't do that, but we through the questions that we ask, we figure out okay, where do they actually need us? And sometimes for people that do have an idea of what they need, and during the discovery call, we'll figure out okay, you actually don't need 5 people. You may only need 3. So, in that process of having a conversation with us, of having a consultation with us, we actually recommend what's the best structure for them. Having that clarity of what they might actually have to look for. Because I remember having this experience with my own business as well, where you're trying to hire someone, but you don't have enough experience about that area of the business. For example, I've always been an operator, but I don't know much about marketing. Back then, I didn't know much about marketing, but now I know a lot. But I don't know much about marketing, and so the best thing to do really is to find someone who actually knows marketing and hand it off to them rather than having to spend a lot more time studying all things marketing, which is a lot of areas to be completely honest. And it's really a deep subject to learn. But to just really find that person who knows that area and hire for that area, right? And
Mm.
so that's for scaling for companies. That's one of the things that I also learned that we are helping them out with is to bring our expertise of okay, you need this person, these are the criteria or the requirements that you would need when you hire this person rather than just taking whatever they tell us face value. So we really are big on collaborating with our clients about what it is that they actually need.
Mm. And I get it. It's very difficult when you built this company yourself. You're very emotionally attached to it, emotionally involved in it. I think a lot of people can find it difficult to let go,
Oh, yeah.
to trust other people. But the truth is, nobody can do it all by themselves. And if you're going to scale, you just can't. There's not enough hours in the day, are there?
Mm.
Being able to delegate to somebody and bring in an expert, like you said, somebody that's better than stop trying to. Do you feel that a lot of people just cannot let go of that control,
Yeah.
that they need to let go of that before they can truly, because they need to delegate and trust
Yes.
the team to support their growth. So, how do you get them to do that?
How do I get the clients to actually let go of some control? I think it comes with the assurances that we have when it comes to building the processes with them. So, because we work primarily with SaaS and startups, especially startups, not a lot of them have documentations. or documentation of their processes in place of how they want things done. And so we actually work with startups to do that for them and figure out, okay, this part here we're missing. So we have to build it out so that whoever we're hiring or whoever is going to be working with your team actually knows what needs to be done and in what quality they need it done. I think that's one of the things that really people are people or clients or entrepreneurs are scared about when it comes to delegation, is that are they going to get the quality that they want? It's
Mm.
more on the quality really, but not the handing off task, but can I get the quality that I want if I hand this off to someone else? So the assurance of having that process in place of documenting and then coaching the actual person. And mind you, it's not just us who's coaching the person, but the client as well, because only the client will really know what quality they want, right? And we're very consistent in trying to really extract from the client what quality of output they really want from their team, so that I feel like for agents or anyone who's working like they're new, it really matters if you're really clear about your expectations.
And like you said, they've got to be coached. I think sometimes
Yes.
people think just because you're outsourcing, that's it, you're going to leave everything up to them. And I suppose maybe that's where some of the fear comes from. A lot of
Mm.
entrepreneurs think that outsourcing means, like, just like you said, losing control or sacrificing quality. So, what would you
Yes.
say to someone who's hesitant to build support systems because of that fear?
I would say find the right partner who will collaborate with you so that you can really communicate to them the quality that you need for your company and have a feedback process in place. It's not going to a feedback process in place, and there are a couple of ways of going through the feedback process. My favorite is the immediate feedback. And that's why we're also very big about having one communication place where the client can just say, hey, change this. Like right away we'll respond, rather than just a weekly setup of, okay, what's the feedback? Because we want continuous improvement every day. So if you're hesitant, find the right partner that will partner with you and put a feedback process in place, a feedback loop in place, that
Mm.
you are able to give them feedback right away and they'll respond right away. And on the agency side, to give you feedback as well, or to ask questions as well, because that speed is what really matters when it comes to getting to the place where you get the quality of the output that you need. And also you do feel a little bit of control, because at least you have some visibility of what's happening, rather than, okay, they're miles away, what's happening now, I still have a call on Wednesday with them. Rather, it does give you some sort of control, not micromanagement, but some sort of control, because you have visibility about what's happening. So that's my advice to them.
Love that. And yeah, you can't micromanage this thing. And so, really, what I'm hearing from you is the fact that communication
Oh yeah.
is super important. Communicate and human connection when building
Yes.
a scalable brand, especially in a world where so much business now is all online. So for you, you're helping people with this business now.
Mhm.
You also have a podcast. Would you like to
Yes,
share
I
to
do.
the listeners a little bit about your podcast, who it's for, and what do you talk about?
Yeah. So our podcast is called Business. I don't know if you can see the tiny neon sign right there. I didn't open it because it'll glare. But yeah, so our podcast is called Business. It's for entrepreneurs. It's for all types of entrepreneurs. But right now we're focusing on startups and scale ups. That's who we're focusing on right now. So it's not just about outsourcing, but also, like for example, like the episode we just shot was about AI in hiring. Would you actually use AI for resume screening, right? We have those types of topics, as well as the lighter side of life, work life balance. If does it exist? Being a young
Love it.
leader, those things we do talk about.
Brilliant. And so for you, do you find that having a podcast helps with your business, not just only with getting the message out there of what you do? Again, it's going back to that communication,
Yes.
because a lot of people may not be or may not feel ready to outsource because they don't really understand. They don't understand that there are going to be things that are put in place to help, like you said, give feedback. So you're going to be monitoring things. So do you feel
Yes.
that having a podcast has definitely helped the way you grow your business?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as personally, it has helped me on my communication skills because thinking about an idea and expressing it are two different things, and being able to express it in a way where it'll resonate with someone. You're not even talking to someone when you're doing a pod, like it's they're in their computers, right? It's very different. So personally, I have grown in terms of communication skills, but as far as clients are concerned, it's more on the thought leadership that you actually know what you're doing, right? Especially with me, our business, my clients are like US, UK, Australia, right? They don't see me every day, but they can see me online. And having a podcast does give them a glimpse of how I think about things. And really, people pay you for how you think rather than just the
Mhm.
tasks that you do. So yes, having a podcast really helps.
Yeah, right. You're building on that
Absolutely.
trust. So for you, what would you say is the difference between a business that's growing and one that's actually scalable?
Okay. A business is growing versus one that's scalable. Is that right? Okay.
Hmm.
So when a business is scalable, it means that the owner or the business owner, the founders are able to actually concentrate on what they actually are supposed to be doing rather than having to have their hands in all of the places, in
Hmm.
all places. To be completely honest, an entrepreneur at some point needs to be really hands. You will
Mm.
get to a place where you will not know every single thing happening in HR or every single labor law happening in that needs to be, but to entrust the people that you have there. For a business to grow, at least, so growth is a little bit, you can grow through headcount, but you can also grow through not just revenue without the headcount. It really depends on how efficient you are with your team. And now with the advent of, not even the advent, but now with AI here, it's not just the headcount that you're thinking about, but the efficiency in your processes. You can grow your company that way just by being efficient. But growing is the same as scaling in a sense,
Mm.
because you can grow and still have all of your hands in all of the things, right? Or and scaling is being able to step back and
Yeah.
hand it off.
And the only way you're going to do that is by outsourcing some of this stuff, right?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Mm. Someone listening is thinking to themselves, because it's like, where do you draw that line, right? At what point should they go to that next step? So if they're listening and thinking maybe their business is outgrowing their current systems, what would you say would be the next best step? Because there's a combination of things, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
outsourcing people or implementing systems and processes. Hello, for having the right CRM for your business in place so that you can automate so many tasks. So, yeah, how do you gauge that as what's the most important thing to get done first? Insert the systems and processes or outsource the people first?
Wow, what a very loaded question. I'm kidding. But I think it really depends on what your strengths are. I would lean towards that because there are people who actually is really strong in input in placing in systems and playing around with software and apps and being able to put them all together before even hiring someone, right? And there are people who cannot actually do that. And so for those kind of people, then outsource first, then delegate it first rather than
Mhm.
spending weeks trying to figure out how to input a system. Get the help right away.
Yeah.
So really depends.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough. Because, yeah, I think that's possibly what puts a lot of people off is because if they don't really understand the tech, let's face it, people, you can invest in all this software, right? And
Mhm.
we live in such an amazing time. There's so
Yeah.
many things out there that can help us. But there's never really like a manual for it. It's just like, here's
No.
the system, you've got to go and figure it out. So if
Mhm.
you're not that tech savvy, get somebody who does understand the system so that
Yes.
they actually do it for you. Because, yeah,
Yes.
I don't know how anybody can scale their business without having these things in place. So if there's anybody listening that are thinking, maybe it's time to go to that next level, what should be the next sort of step for them? How could they reach out to you to find out more?
Actually, for the listeners of this podcast, we do have a checklist, and it's called the Ultimate Outsourcing Checklist. That I think we can give them a link to that, right? Okay, great. So it's an ultimate outsourcing checklist. It will actually guide you on what's really the bottlenecks in your business right now, and then what your goals should be when if you are going to start outsourcing, and then what you need to consider when partnering with an agency or an outsourcing partner. So we'll give you access to that. But also, if you just want to have a conversation with me, because of course, for some people, they want to have an actual conversation and throw ideas around. You can always DM me on my LinkedIn. My name again, Pen. It's probably going to be in the thumbnail, but Penny Camille Lat. You can also reach me on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. And look, guys, if you are feeling even a little bit stuck, you're either growing or you're going in the other way. There's no such thing as inertia. So if you want to get to that next level, at the end of the day, you've got to have some kind of infrastructure put in place. And we talk about that a lot here on this podcast. You have the authority. You need the infrastructure in behind you to actually make your business scale. So if you need help, and so where can they find that? Yes, they can get it in the show notes if you're driving or walking the dog, but what would be the website or what would be the link for that?
So you can also go to our website and see what we're up to. And we just launched a new homepage so that you can figure out what we can actually do for you, whether it's you need staff up until actually building the entire systems in place. We can actually do that with you. So you can go to www.virtua solutionsOS.com.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for taking your time out today to talk to us. And guys, as always, look, if you're looking to, maybe you're not quite ready to launch your own podcast, I'm sure Pen will attest to the fact that, yes, it takes a lot of work, a lot of time to grow a podcast. However, guesting on podcasts is a fantastic way of getting your message out there to the right people, to the right audience. So if you're unsure about how to do that in the right way, then we do have our 4-part mini course, the Podcast Profits Funnel, that will take you through every step of that. I think a lot of people misunderstand what guesting on a podcast can actually do for them. So it's only $5. You can go there, and if you complete it within 5 days and complete the small assignments, you will get access to my extra training, which is all about having to automate the sale. So if you're a coach and you want to sell your service, but you don't like doing sales calls, then maybe that's for you, because you don't have to. Now you can get access to that at podcastprofitsunleashed.com/guesting. And look, Penny, thank you for your time today. And to the listeners, I'll be back next week. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to today's episode on the Podcast Profits Unleashed podcast. If you're